Hi everybody, Judy Tuttle here with Tuttle Up Stamping. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Midland, Texas, and I'm here today for day 2 of my Jolly Holly Craft Along, which will be followed by the Tractor and Company Craft Along. Both of those bundles were a part of our Craft Along for this month. It was a double duty Craft Along. So some of you got the kits ahead of time. Some of you can be watching me right now and deciding whether or not you would like to get your own kit. I will talk about all of that in just a minute. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you know about some upcoming events. I have the You Are God's Masterpiece class coming up. This is a Creating for Christ card class. My customers always ask me to put together kits for the Creating for Christ card class. And if it's one I really love, I love to do it. This one, you make 6 beautiful cards with the scripture, Your God's Masterpiece, as the theme. And we make one frame decor item. You can come in person on August the 25th at 6:30, or you can get it to go in the mail. You can add on the stamp set and bundle you need. You can add on a frame if you would like me to purchase the frame for you. It's going to be a beautiful class full of beautiful projects. So I will make sure that the link to that event is in the description after this video is over. And then the second thing is I just wanted to give you a heads up of what next month's craft along is going to be. It is going to be the Jars of Joy. I have that right here, and I want to show you what next month's craft along will include so you can start thinking about whether or not you would like to join me in it. Hi, Linda. Well, your packet, it said, was delivered on Saturday, Linda. So I'm not sure what happened there, but according to the mail service, it was delivered on Saturday. So I'll take a second look at that after my video is over. It should have been there. It was guaranteed to be there by Saturday, and I believe I looked and I thought it was. Okay, so I'm going to go to my hands here, and for some reason, my hands aren't showing up. Let me go to my camera up here, make sure I've got it clicked. There we go. Okay, so next month's craft along, we are going to be using the Jar of Joy stamp set. This is an online exclusive. So fun. We have the Jars of Cheer. I think they were cards that we did an online class ago a few weeks ago. This one has a snowman and some gingerbread cookies and some ornaments that you can put in to the jar. Same jar as we had in the other bundle. Lots of great Christmas sentiments here. You will need the Jar of Joy to complete your craft along next month. Hi, Sharon. Nice to have you here. You will also need the jar punch, unless you want to fussy cut your jar out or whatever, that's fine too. But this is a great little jar. Makes cutting out the jar and the lid really easy. And we're going to do some silver and gold foil for the lid, so it might be hard to fussy cut that out. Okay, then you're going to get a half a packet of the Nests of Winter DSP, and you're like, Judy, that's really weird that those have birds on them, but I want to show you the back side. Okay, so on the back side you get this birch tree pattern. You got some great patterns. Look at this basic beige with some stars on it. We probably won't use this one that has the I don't know, what are those called? Queen Anne's lace, maybe. But look at this. Great for a snowy background, right? That pool party. We've got the green stripe. And look, another one that looks kind of like snow in the background, right? So some great patterns to use with this bundle. We are also including a full packet of the peppermints and a full packet of the gold and silver trim. Okay, you get both colors, gold and silver. So that is next month's craft along. I just wanted to give you a heads up. The registration for that will be open tomorrow. So I'll make sure you have a link for that as we go into tomorrow's class. Okay, so for the last two of the Jolly Holly craft along, these are the two cards that we made yesterday. So pretty, aren't they? Bright and happy Christmas wishes, and may the spirit of the season bring you hope and happiness and love. And this was a cool fun fold, an accordion fun fold. So those were our two cards yesterday. Today we have another card and a 3D item that you're going to love. Okay, so for the craft along this month, for the Jolly Holly part of it, you got this distressed specialty paper, distressed gold specialty paper. You got a half a pack of that. Got a whole roll of this gold ribbon. You got a whole package of the cherry cobbler and pearl adhesive backed berries. You could add on the Jolly Holly bundle if you wanted, which includes a stamp set, a 3D hybrid embossing folder, and some great dies here. So I'm going to show you how to do the hybrid part of the hybrid embossing folder today with our first card. So let me get started on that. Okay, so our first card today is so pretty. This gives you a really good idea of that hybrid 3D embossing folder. You get these holly leaves that just pop right off the page. I love that. Lots of texture and fun in this card. And the labels, we used both the labels. And hi, Lisa. And then the inside of the card, ignore that little smudge I got there of ink. I'll have to get my ink eraser and erase that off. But this is our first card for today. So let's tunnel up and get some cards made, okay? So I'm going to pull out my pieces here. Starting with a card base of cherry cobbler. That is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored down the middle at 4 1/4. Okay. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Sharon. I think Kathy, Linda. I think I've said hi to everyone who's said hi to me. So if you're jumping in, be sure to say hi, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. Okay. So I have a piece of the DSP in the white, and this is 3 5/8 by 5.5. 3 5/8 by 5.5. So this is going to get adhered right in the center. Very little of this is going to show. I even debated about just cutting off a couple of inches and attaching them to the back of our next DSP so we don't waste that middle, but I'm going to follow the directions given to us for today, okay? Maybe if you're coming to my in-person class on Thursday night, I will do it a little bit differently. Okay, there we go. So I'm just attaching that onto the front of the card right there. And then I have a piece of this pretty peacock with the leaves on it, and it is going to go over that. Right here on the top. And I'm using liquid glue so that I can kind of get it even. Help me to get it even on both sides. Slide it to where I need it. There we go. Press that down really good. While that is adhering, I'm going to grab my gigantic block and just put that on to add a little weight to it. All right. Next, I have two pieces here. I have a piece of pretty peacock and a piece of soft seafoam. This is what I'm going to use that hybrid embossing folder and die cut this out, okay? So here's my hybrid embossing folder right here, and I'm going to grab, throwing dies around, this piece right here of the die, okay? So the cool thing about this Hi, Becky Hall. Thanks for coming on. You can see that this die cut piece fits right in. It kind of holds it in there. It's made so it's snug right inside that hybrid embossing folder. I'm going to take my soft sea foam panel. I'm going to set it in here. Let's see, maybe get a little bit centered there. Okay, I'm going to press this down right like that. Okay, so I've got my embossing folder, my die, my piece of paper, and then the back side of the embossing folder. Hi, Becky. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to grab my 3D sandwich here. So anytime you have a 3D embossing folder or hybrid, you're going to use plate number 1 and plate number 4. I'm going to put my embossed piece inside, sandwich it between those two. I'm going to go off camera here and run it through my electric die cutting machine. I think I told you guys I was die cutting so much that I was getting carpal tunnel syndrome in my wrist, so I had to go to an electric one. Okay, so I'm going to save this little piece, these two little pieces right here that are coming off. We're going to reattach those here in a second. Okay, so how cool is this? So let me put this all away. Won't need that anymore today. Okay, so look at this. It's so cool. So it doesn't totally cut out the holly leaves. It only partially cuts them out kind of to the center. So you can kind of take those leaves and pull them up a little bit like this and give it some dimension. Okay? So I'm just taking my finger and just like pulling it up to add a little dimension to all these holly leaves here. I think this is so pretty and so cool. It's definitely going to provide a wow factor to your card, right? Okay, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this piece, maybe I'll turn it around this way. I'm going to attach it to this pretty peacock. And I love how you can see underneath it here the color of the pretty peacock underneath, right? Those holly leaves that are there, okay? So when I do this, I'm going to take my liquid glue and kind of just go in between those. See if it'll cooperate with me here. All of these holly leaves. So I'm just adding glue because I want those holly leaves to pop up, right? I don't want to glue them down. So I'm just adding glue where there aren't holly leaves on the back side of this here. Being very strategic of where I add my glue. And then anywhere there's a berry, there can be a little dot of glue there because that is definitely going to sit flat to the card base. Okay, there we go, maybe a little bit more in that corner right there. Okay, so now I'm just going to attach this to that pretty peacock panel and press it down in all those places. Centers of my holly. There we go. Now those two little pieces that came off right here, I'm just going to go ahead and glue those back in to their missing spaces here like a puzzle. Okay, then that one's going to go right there. And this one is going to go right here. Okay, so pretty. Isn't that so pretty? I just love the look of that. Okay. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for joining us from Michigan today. Okay, so before I put this panel down, I am going to wrap my gold ribbon around it. La, la, la. Here it is right here. And I'm going to tie it over here on the right side. Make sure I get it flat on the back. In a bow. I'm such a messy stamper. I just kind of throw everything around as I'm crafting and then pick it all up when I'm done. Anybody else like that? And so that's why I'm always losing my dimensionals and my bone folder, but I find it eventually, right? Okay, there we go. So there is my bow on the right hand side right here. Okay, I'm going to cut my ends off. And then I can take this panel and I can pop it up right here on the center of my card base. Okay, I'm going to use some dimensionals. Lucky for me, I know where those are. Here, looks like I need to straighten this out a little bit. There we go. Have any of you made any Christmas cards so far this year? I have to get started early if I'm going to get them all out to our friends. Sometimes I'm a little late and I get them out the week after Christmas. I try my best to get them out the week before, but you know, Christmas time is busy. I have never gotten a Christmas card in the mail the week after Christmas and gone, how dare they send me this card the week after Christmas? I've never said that. Maybe you guys have, but I haven't. So it doesn't faze me at all, and I hope it doesn't faze the people I send them to. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I have two labels here, and you know what? It looks like this was supposed to be underneath here. So maybe I'll go ahead and add glue and tuck that underneath. I think I was supposed to put this cherry cobbler label on first. There we go, right like that. Okay, then this is Merry Christmas. I'm going to stamp right on this label right here. This is the white one. The one that I cut out, it's one size smaller than the cherry cobbler. Thanks, Chelsea. I'm so glad you're here. Maybe you can pop in the Jolly Holly bundle number for our ladies that are here today. Chelsea's always great about helping me with item numbers and letting you guys know the product numbers of products I'm using. That's always so sweet of her. If she doesn't have time today, it's okay, Chelsea, or if you're not home, if you're watching me from somewhere else. I just put a lot of pressure on you there, just assuming that you would just do that for me. Okay, Mary is going to go right here. So I've got Merry Christmas. Isn't that font so pretty? I just love it. Okay, now, before I put this on my label, I've got a scrap here that I'm going to stamp my bell. And it looks like I need to pop that out of my stamp set here. Same here. I'm with you, Becky. I don't care when I get them. I just always love receiving them and that people took the time to send. It's a rare thing these days, isn't it? There we go. I'm taking out my Memento black ink. I'm stamping my bell on a scrap of white. And then I'm going to grab my blends here. And I've got some Daffodil Delight, some Cherry Cobbler. And I do have some Lost Lagoon, but it's going to be for the inside. Okay, so here we go. I'm coloring my ribbon. Now, you can still get one of these Craft Along kits in the mail. It includes everything for the Jolly Holly Craft Along and the Tractor and Company Craft Along. You can still put a kit together for you. You can still order just the PDF if you want it. that would be the same link as the craft along. It's one of the choices. Um, or if you would like to place a $50 order, I will send you the PDF for free. Okay, so lots of ways to get the PDF to make these cards. Okay, so I'm coloring the whole bell part with light Daffodil Delight here. Okay, and then I'm going to get my dark, and I'm going to do just the edge of the bell right here in the dark to add some contrast, and then the donger, the bell donger. I don't know what to call it. That's funny. I hope I didn't just embarrass myself there, but that thing that hangs down that dongs the bells, right? Here we go. So my bell die is right here. And I'm going to add a piece of Post-it note tape. And people always ask me where I get that. And I get it on Amazon because I have never found it anywhere. In Target, Walmart, Office Depot. I've looked all those places. They've got to be somewhere in a store, but I just have never found it, and I always look for it. So, okay, so I've cut out my bell, and I'm going to pop the bell up right here in this corner right there. So cute. Fun. Did you go camping somewhere, Chelsea? That's usually, I know, your summer thing. So, okay, there we go. How cute is that, right? Now, this is going to get popped up right here. So, today's projects were designed by my friend Monica. Yesterday's were my friend Kim's. Tomorrow's are mine. And Wednesdays will be Jen's. So, we all collaborated to create 8 beautiful projects in this craft along. So next month, we're going to do 10 cards, plus all the product I showed you earlier, those peppermints and all of that, shipped to your door for $50. So I hope you'll think about joining me in next month's craft along. So I'm just using dimensionals to pop that up right there. And then I'm grabbing my berries, and I'm going to add some red berries everywhere I can see berries on the front of my card here. There we go. Got some right here. There we go. Where do we have? We have one more right up here. And you wouldn't have to put 3 on all of them. You could put just 1 on some. But there we go. There's our berries on the front. Now, all we need to do is the inside of our card. And it looks like I don't have a basic white panel with me. Let me see here. Let me grab one from my stash over here. All right, so for the inside, we are stamping the holly berries in Memento Black. Thank you. Isn't it cute? Like, those berries really pop on the front, don't they, Lisa? They're very fun. Okay, so I'm just going to put some holly berries in the corner right here. I'm going to stamp wishing you joy and wishing you and yours all the best is what it says. And I'm going to stamp that in cherry cobbler. So pretty. And then I'm going to grab my blends and just real quickly color my berries and cherry cobbler. And my leaves in Lost Lagoon. There we go. This is my light Lost Lagoon. And then I'm going to highlight it with just a little dark here. There we go. So that'll go to the inside. And we will be done with card number 3. There we go. So cute, right? Do you love it? I love it. Okay, so that is our third card. And next we have a really fun 3D box for you. And I showed this to my gals when we were at the retreat this last weekend, and they were like, I love that so much, because we're always looking for great boxing gifting ideas, right? For the holidays. And this one is perfect because everything is very accessible. Here we go. Here's my little bag I'm looking for to buy and make. So let me put away what I have. I'll pull these things back out and show you all of them here in just a second. I think you're going to love this. So this is our box that we're making with the ribbon, and here's our little tag we made, wishing you joy, with a little poinsettia right there. Okay, so let me show you what happens with this box. I'm struggling to get a good kind of, let me see if zooming out a little bit will help. I'm not sure it will. Might help a little bit. Okay, so when the person receives this, they're going to untie the bow, right? Pull the tag off like this. Lift the lid up like this. And inside it is a Bath and Body Works hand soap holder. Okay, hand soap. So I like to give these a lot at Christmas time, and this I only couldn't find any Christmas scent, so I bought a pumpkin apple. But anyway, it just pulls right out of there, and then you can put it back in. You can put other things in the box later. So I'm going to show you how to make this. Does that sound cool? So fun. Okay, so we have a box top and a box bottom. Pretty simple to make, really. They are both put together in almost the same way. Okay, so let me pull out all my pieces here. I'm going to start with the box bottom. Okay, so I have already scored this. Let me give you some. Yeah, apple and pumpkin. I agree, Lisa. I like apple and pumpkin at Christmas as well. They just hadn't come out with their Christmas scents yet when I went to go get one for this project. They had just come out with their autumn scents. Okay, so I'm scoring all these lines here. And I'll tell you what the measurements are. I'm going to tell you very quickly because I want to get on with it here. Okay, so we have a piece of cardstock here that is 8 1/4 this way by 10 this way. 8 1/4 by 10. Okay, and then it is scored at. Okay, you ready? It is scored at 2 1/16. So we go this way. 2 1/16 4 3/4, 6 13/16, and 9 1/2. Okay, and then you're going to turn it counterclockwise and score it at 2 1/16. Okay, now those sixteenths are important because they're going to give a little bit of extra room to put the lid in. Okay, so this is my box bottom, and to cut the bottom I am going to cut out this little tiny rectangle that's right here at the bottom on the 1/2 inch lip right here, and then I'm going to cut a triangle off the top here. Okay, then I'm going to cut all of these tabs up to the score line, and then I always like to take a tiny bit off, right? I'm going to do the same thing here. Doesn't have to be perfectly cut because no one's going to pull apart the bottom of the box and investigate how you mitered your corners. All right, okay, so here's our box bottom, and I have some pieces. I have 2 that are 2 1/2 by 6. So this box is 6 inches tall. And I have 2 that are 1 7/8 by 6. They're going to go on these skinnier panels here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach those all the way across. And I found out the hard way, it's better to put the DSP on before we do the next step. Okay, so we're going to attach all these DSPs, a wider one that's 2 1/2 inches, a thinner one that's 1 7/8. Make sure your leaves are going up and down. A wider one. There we go. And then a thinner one. Sorry if you're saying things in the comments and I'm not responding. I'm really focused on this box right here. Okay, so there we go. There's all the sides. Okay, so then you have the 2 skinnier panels, right? It's the one on the very far right, and then skip one, and it's one kind of in the middle right here. You're going to take a hole punch of some kind. I'm using this old retired Stampin' Up! Punch because it has a slot punch, and I really like that for my ribbon. So I'm going to put it in the middle of one of the skinny panels here, and I'm going to punch a hole right there. I might have needed to go back down a little bit further. Let's see. Here we go. Let's try that again. I don't think I had that very straight. There we go. That's better. Ignore my extra hole right there. Okay, and then you're just going to punch a hole here. That's going to just hold the ribbon into the box. Okay, now that I have my holes in there, see, if I had put my DSP on afterwards, it would have covered up the holes. That's what I found out the last time I did it. Okay, so then we're going to pull over this 1/2 inch edge right here, and I'm going to add... Hi, GN. Thanks for joining me. Have you got all your pear cards done yet? You were commenting on that yesterday about the pear cards. They are so pretty, aren't they? That was one of my favorite classes I did. Okay, this one's pretty fun as well. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my tearing tape. I flipped over my box so the DSP is on the outside. Let me see here. There we go. I use tearing tape on the sides of my boxes for sure because it's just super, super sticky. Okay, I'm going to hold down that 1/2 inch edge that has the tear and tape, and I'm going to fold the box in half and just press it down on that lip right there. Really good. And there we go. We have our box bottom, okay? So I'm going to fold in my side tabs. I'm going to add some liquid glue to one of these front and back tabs. There we go. And then more glue on this one and fold it in. There we go. Now, I have found that I like to take my bone folder and just kind of press it in to those tabs. And so here's my box bottom. How about that? Thank you, Jan. I've had a lot of people tell me that. It just makes sense to me to include the inside panels, right? It's an unfinished card if it doesn't. So, okay, so here is my box bottom. I'm going to grab my ribbon, and you need quite a bit for this. They said about 40 inches, okay? So I'm going to weave it through from the outside to the inside, like this, and then I'm just going to weave it right through the other side, straight across, right like that, okay? I'm going to pull it very long because our bottle is going to press that ribbon down, okay, into the inside of, and press it all the way down to the inside of the box, right like that, okay? So then, wow, that didn't cooperate very well. Let's try that one more time. Press the ribbon in, and come on, come on. The bottle is going to sit on top of that ribbon. There we go, right like that. And so now it shouldn't pull up, okay? And I'm going to, there we go. So here is my bottle in the box, and here are the lengths of my ribbon on either side. So you need quite a bit, okay? So I'm just going to set this aside for a moment, and I'm going to do my box top the same way, except that I don't have to punch holes in it, okay? So I'm going to cut out my little 1/2 inch edge. Now, how big is this? This box, this cherry cobbler piece, is 8 1/4 by 9 3/4, okay? 8 1/4 by 9 3/4. On the 9 3/4 inch side, you're going to score it at 2 inches, at 2 5/8, at 6 5/8, and at 9 1/4, okay? So 9 1/4. So, yep. 8 1/4 by 9 3/4 is the size. And then I just gave you the measurements of all the score lines. I'm going to burnish all of these score lines. And then I'm going to put this together and show you how to make the tag that goes on top, which is super cute. So, have you ever made boxes for these Bath & Body Works hand soaps, pumps? I have done it in the past, and I'm telling you, people love getting these. Everybody loves having a Christmas hand soap on their sinks at Christmas time. Just adds a little festive touch to a bathroom or a kitchen. Okay. There we go. All right. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to flip this over and add our DSPs. So we have 4 panels. Oh, where are they? They're right here. Okay. So we have 4 panels that are cut. Let me tell you the measurements because they're a little different for the top and bottom. For the top, it's 2.5 by 6, okay? And one is, oh, they're the same. It's just a little bit tighter fit, okay? So they're the same as the top. There's a 2.5 by 6 wider DSP panel. There we go. and a 1 7/8 by 6 shorter, less wide panels. One here, and then one over here. So tomorrow we're going to start the Tractoring Company project. Super fun. I love that bundle. Very trendy right now. Tractors seem to be, you know, popular decor item right now. I'm still into trucks and trees myself, but, you know, I'm always a little sideways from the norm, I guess. There we go. Okay, now that is going to go on the inside. So this time, this is going to be the top of our box, okay? I'm going to add some tear and tape right here. Oh, there you go. That's an idea too, Sharon. There's something fun about pulling this box lid off, though, I have to say. This class is available. There will be a registration link up in the description, Debbie, for the Jolly Holly and the Tractoring Company, which is the next 2 days. And it includes all the product. Everything is will be listed for you in the description after this video is over, okay? Ways that you can get the PDF only or get the class with all the products. So that will be all up in the description. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to put the sides in. I'm going to add a little liquid glue to my tabs here. Okay, cooperate with me, little box. There we go. I'm going to add a little liquid glue right here. Fold that in. And then add some liquid glue right here. And fold that in. Okay? So there is our box top that slides in over our hand soap right here. You just might have to squeeze it a tiny bit to get it all the corners in. And then, there we go. I like that it sits up above that push thing right there, okay? And then we're going to just start tying this, but we're not going to completely tie it in a bow until our tag is done, okay? So I'm just going to tie it in a little knot there, set that aside. Okay, let's do our tag. So I have the larger of the two labels from the dies in Lost Lagoon. And then I'm going to do, on this piece of white, stamp several things, okay? And then I'll die cut them all out kind of at the same time. I've got my sentiment, and all I care about is the words wishing you. So I'm going to stamp it in Cherry Cobbler. Now, all I care about is wishing you. So I'm just going to kind of stamp that right there. I have my poinsettia that I'm going to stamp right here. I have my word joy, and on my word joy, I'm going to stamp it with Versamark ink and heat emboss it with gold embossing powder. It really pops. That gold really looks nice with that gold ribbon. Now, obviously, you wouldn't have to. Did I just do that? Okay, I'm going to flip this over and do it on the other side. Maybe do another one just to be safe. Okay. I'm going to grab my gold embossing powder here. I love the magic of heat embossing, don't you? I think that's really what wowed me as a stamper when I first started stamping was, there we go. That joy looks pretty good. We're going to go with that one. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. All right. Now, I don't know. Let me see this one at the top. That one might interfere with my poinsettia on the back. So let me do another one right here. There we go. Tap, tap, tap. I like to tap off the excess. Might have tapped a little too hard there. Let's do that again. Make sure you got plenty of powder on your Versamark. There we go. Okay. I'm going to use this bottom one here because I like it the best. I'm going to heat emboss it with my heat gun. This joy in gold embossing is just beautiful. So now the cool thing about heat embossing is that, look right here, it changes from dull and rough to gold and shiny. It's like magic. I'm going to stick with that one right there. I can always stamp my poinsettia again if I need to. Okay, let me put away all my embossing powder before I make a mess of that. And now I'm going to grab my label from my die set, and I want the smaller of the two right here, and I am going to kind of turn this a little bit on a diagonal and die cut out this label. It's going to go right like that. Let me grab my Post-it note tape. This is going a little long today, but let me tell you, it's going to be worth it in the end when you see how cool this box comes together. All right, so my joy is cut out with the label. I'm going to look at the other side here. Yep, I knew I was going to do that. I knew I was going to interfere with my poinsettia right there, but it's okay. I can stamp it again in cherry cobbler. I love it. Isn't it so pretty, Jeanne? I love this whole bundle suite. It's just so pretty. Okay, I need to die cut this out with my poinsettia die. So let me grab that one. I love that all the solid images have dies that coordinate with it. So here we go. And we are very close to being done. My tractor card, I have to tell you, I created a tractor card for tomorrow that I think is so stinking adorable. And I'm so proud of myself because I thought of it all on my own. So, you know those moments where you think of something that you don't think you've seen anybody else do and you're like, wow, that's really cool. I kind of had this epiphany in the middle of my designing for the tractor, and I really like how it turned out. So come back tomorrow to see that. Okay, I'm going to put a dimensional on the back side of this poinsettia and pop it up right here next to my joy. So cute, right? And then for wishing and you, I'm just going to like rough cut it. That means we're just cutting it out, kind of creating a rectangle around the words. I'm not bubble cutting it. I'm just doing straight cuts here, keeping it simple. So wishing and you is all I want. So you can piece together sentiments like this all the time. If you just want parts of a sentiment, or you know, not the whole thing, or you want to mix the words up differently, you can always do that. So wishing, I'm going to put a little liquid glue right here, and it's going to kind of go on a diagonal like that. And you, it's going to go right underneath it. I'm going to put a berry in the middle of my poinsettia here, a red one. Right? And then I'm going to go back to that hole punch that I have, and I'm going to create do this one first. Hole in the top of our Lost Lagoon larger label here. There we go. And another one on my white one. There we go. I'm going to put these two together, but I'm going to angle my white just a little bit like that so that the Lost Lagoon kind of peeks out from underneath it. So I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back side of this label. So I angle it the way I want it to stay. Okay. I'm going to make sure those holes where I punched for the ribbon kind of overlap, but then I'm going to turn this one just slightly like that so that you can see the Lost Lagoon under it. So now I'm going to pull my box back out here. I'm going to feed my ribbon through that hole. Okay, right like that. How cute is that? Isn't that adorable? I'm going to tie my bow on the top here. And anybody receiving this gift, an office mate or a neighbor or a friend, is just going to love it because it's something they can use. It's not something that's just going to sit around and get old. So here we go. Isn't that so cool? Isn't this a beautiful box? And you could probably think of all kinds of other things you could put inside it, but it's specially made for those Bath and Body Works hand soaps, those with the pumps, right? So this is our 3D project for our craft along. And then I'm going to pull out all the cards we made with the Jolly Holly. The one we made today with the hybrid embossing folder 3D, okay. Our fun fold, accordion fold here. And our gold with the embossing folder here. That's gorgeous too. So these are our projects for the Jolly Holly part of the craft along, and the Tractor and Company part will come to you tomorrow and Wednesday. Oh, Becky, I'm glad you need it. I will put a link up in the description above for the whole craft along event that you can still get if you want it. Or you can get the PDF only for $25, or you can buy $50 of product and get the PDF for free. Also, I want to show you one more thing. For all of my, let me come back to my face here. Okay, so for all of my customers who bought the entire crafting along, I made these cute little jars that have peppermint candy cane lip scrub in it. And I made the lip scrub. It's made from avocado oil and sugar and crushed up candy canes and peppermint oil. And it feels so good on your lips. So this was my little gift to everybody who bought the whole craft along. Isn't that cute? I just love it. I love to give little gifts to my customers. Okay, so here we go. Thanks for joining me. I will be back. Hi, Monica. I will be back tomorrow at noon for the first two projects of our trekking along, craft along portion of our craft along. And we're going to be using that awesome tweed, Need for Tweed, I think it's called, DSP, some great embellishments and ribbons for that. So join me back here at noon. If you're interested in getting this class still, I'll put the link up in the description after this video is over. And You can click on that and find out all the information about those things, okay? Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.